Hi, Caleb. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to see you again, Bridget.
Great. Now, what I wanted to ask you, people who are thinking about going through divorce, it's such a huge step. So what do they need to think about in the first instance?
Okay, I think the way to approach that question is to recognise that that decision is not something that occurs just overnight, although occasionally it does, but it's more a process because what's happening is that people are getting started to move towards their next stage of their life. They may not necessarily realise it. One way I explain to people is that you're going into a cocoon, like a pupae turning into a chrysalis, and then eventually you're going to come out as a butterfly and fly away and start your new life. But obviously there's uncertainty in that process. So it's the first thing in taking that step is actually being in the right place emotionally.
Absolutely, and that could take months or even years in some cases.
Yes, it is, because I guess if you understand that what you're moving away is away from the familiar, you may be unhappy in your situation, but it's the situation you know. And I think everyone will appreciate that in any relationship there's going to be periods where things are good and when things are not so good, and you'll lie in bed awake at night and think, oh, I've got to sort of get out of this situation, but you get up in the morning and life carries on. You need to sort the children out, or there's a business matter, and so it gets put in the back shelf, and then you might have a happy weekend away, and it gets put away because it's a really difficult decision to take that first step.
Absolutely. So how do you make people feel comfortable about the situation that they find themselves in?
Okay, so it's just drawing on that idea that this is a process that may take some time. I think you'll find that most experienced lawyers understand that, and typically lawyers will say, look, you can come and see me on a no fee, no obligation basis, maybe email me a summary of your situation, and it's an education process. So I will sometimes have people who I'll see once, and then they'll go away, and I won't hear from them for a couple of months, and then they'll come back again. They may have a conversation. It may not be until a year later that they're ready to take that step. And in terms of making people comfortable, when we have those conversations, most people will understand, but I think it's probably worth emphasising that even if you haven't formally engaged that lawyer, everything that is said is confidential. The second thing I would say is lawyers working in this area, there's no judgments made. We appreciate that you might be a high-powered, high-achieving individual, and it's perhaps a feeling of shame or embarrassment that you're being pushed around or taken advantage of in that relationship, and sometimes it's hard for people to actually verbalise that, particularly to a lawyer who's going to be a stranger. But with the understanding there is that, look, it's confidential. In fact, it's legally privileged. A lawyer is bound not to sort of share those details. So yeah, having empathy and having listening are things that I think are important to look for.
And also the fact that I know yourself, you've been through a divorce and now you're in a second marriage, happily married.
Yes, I am, and I guess drawing from my knowledge as a litigation lawyer, fortunately mine was not adversarial, and it worked out well for me. So I think I guess having some life experience of the world and children and what have you, that's something that perhaps may make people feel comfortable.